Breakup structure is very simple to learn, but it makes your trading very impactful once you mix it with the liquidity sweep and every single other thing that you'll be learning about. What's up everybody, I'm back with another video, and today we've got the second to last step in my trading strategy. I've been making these videos very detailed for you guys, that way you guys can understand all of my confluences and how I use these things in the markets every single day, Monday through Friday. I hope you guys really enjoyed yesterday's video. I was able to put everything that I know about it into that and make everything just simple and very understanding, that way you guys don't make it hard on yourself, because this trading stuff is about making it simple, as most simple as you can. So let's jump right into this video, that way you guys can start learning. Alright, what is a fair value gap? Where a lot of people like to call a fair value gap a whole lot of different things, like a liquidity void and an imbalance. That's because they are, but I like to keep it simple, not for myself, but just so you guys can understand. I call it a fair value gap. And what is a fair value gap? Fair value gap is an area where there are orders that are favoring this one side. And why are they favoring this one side? If you guys remember what we learned on day one, which was a liquidity sweep, market makers, institutions, or banks, they're looking for these liquidity sweeps. Why? That way there's a lot of people going out of the market, a lot of people getting stopped out the market, and just places where they can fill their $100,000 orders, because it's a lot of money for those orders to get filled. So they target these areas. Once these areas get hit, the market takes a big jump down. And what does that create? That creates a break of structure. And what does that leave for us? That leaves a imbalance, that leaves a liquidity void. And what is that? A liquidity void is an area where if we sweep sell side, we're moving down. So what do we leave? We leave red candles, we leave selling orders on the candles. And a fair value gap is made out of 3 candles, and you'll understand why they matter in a second. But those candles, one of those candles has all selling orders, and 2 of those candles have buy and sell side. The reason we mark out the candle that's in between is because market makers, after they get that liquidity sweep and break of structure, they want to target those imbalances or fair value gaps, because in those areas they have another shot to fill more of their orders. Because let's say they didn't fill, let's say they filled 500,000 at the liquidity sweep, and then the market takes a big jump down and they don't have enough time to fill another 500,000. So what do? They wait for the market to go back into that fair value gap imbalance liquidity void. That way they can fill another 500,000, and in between the liquidity sweep and the fair value gap, they have a total of $1 million in the market. So that's how they get their opportunities to fill all of these orders. Now that we understand what it is and why we want to look for it, why do we want to look for it? That way we can ride the wave down, as well as the market makers do, because they fill their orders there. So why wouldn't we want to target the same areas? So these things make a lot of sense once you put them together with a liquidity sweep, a break of structure, and then a fair value gap, because it's like step number 1, step number 2, step number 3. You have a reason why, because market makers are doing the same thing. It's not like when I started with patterns, then I went to levels, and then I went to indicators. All of those things summed up to, oh, we went over this line in my indicator, oh, we went over this wedge, we got to the supplies zone. It took days for me to get to a supply zone, so it didn't make sense why I didn't get a trade, but in days. Unlike now, I'm able to understand the market from from the jump of it, because okay, we're moving down, we're taking liquidity, we're making it high, we're making it low, we're breaking structure. Now we're leaving a fair value gap where the market makers want to fill the rest of their orders. Let me fill my order there, that way I can make my money riding that wave to wherever they're intending to take out their orders, you know. So it makes sense, and it's very simple. So a fair value gap is made out of 3 candles, and those 3 candles make it very important, because you have to look that those wicks are not inside of this liquidity void. Because if the wicks are covering the liquidity void, then it is not valid. And if the wicks aren't covering the fair value gap or the box, it doesn't mean that it is valid. You have to wait for a reaction, and I'll show you guys why you have to wait for a reaction in a couple seconds. So what does a fair value gap look like? So I have actually created a really nice example of what a fair value gap looks like. This is one in the sell side, and this is one in the buy side. You see how I told you guys that it's made out of 3 candles. You have this small candle, then you have this big candle that is nothing but red. Unlike these, it's wicks. So we opened here, we went down, and we closed here. What does that mean? We have buy side orders in these wicks. Unlike the middle one, it's all sell side, you know. So what do we want to do once we go back into this area? Wouldn't it make sense for us to go like this? It makes sense, right? And let's say we have more candles over here, you know. Let's say this is our liquidity sweep right here. This is our break of structure. Okay, and this is our fair value gap. Let's say we tapped into it, we had a reaction like this. Okay, tapped into it, had a reaction one more time, and then we took off. That's our trade. That's exactly what we want to be trading, and we can do the same thing on the other side. Okay, we have candles over here, and what happened? That was a little bad drawing. We have candles over here. What happened? We swept liquidity. Okay, we have a break of structure, and what do we have here? We have a fair value gap. Wouldn't it make sense for us to tap into it, have a reaction, tap into it one more time, and then take off? You see how everything makes sense, and everything is accordingly to what the market wants to do. Because if it just takes off with liquidity, market makers don't have time to fill their orders. And if it takes off without us having a reaction there, then we have no idea if this is going to work. Because what if we tap into this and we completely invalidate this whole liquidity zone? You know, you have to wait for the reaction. Because if you wait for your reaction, you have your trade. There it is. You need literally a reaction. Once you have a reaction, you can enter off a break of structure. But I like to be safe, and I wait for one more retracement back into that fair value gap. That way I can feel safe in my trade, and I can accept the risk that I am going to risk in that trade. You know, but now that I've showed you guys what they look like in drawings, let me go ahead and show you guys in the candles, because it'll make a lot more sense. But before I show you in the candles, what did we learn already? Fair value gaps are made out of 3 candles. The candle in the middle is the one that creates the liquidity void, because it's a big candle with orders favoring buy side or sell side. Okay, now that we know what it's made of, why do we want it? Because market makers are looking to aim towards those areas after a liquidity sweep, so they can go ahead and fill the rest of their orders. They fill probably half at the top of the liquidity sweep, and in that fair value gap, they fill the rest of their orders. Okay, why do we want to target? Us traders, us retail traders, why do we want to target? Because we're just like fish. Why do we want to swim towards the wave? You know, we're going to be swimming towards the wave, and we're just going to crash, and it's going to push us against it. You know, it's going to push us towards where it wants to go. Now, if we're fish and we see this wave coming at us, what do we want to swim against it? You know, let's swim away from it, you know. Let's get in the wave. Let's ride the wave. That way we can capitalize on our profits and we're not trading against the big dogs. Because if they're having all these things in place, let's say they're over here, they're ready to sell. Oh my goodness, let's go ahead and buy. Let's say, oh, we went into this thing, we broke that, now we want to go ahead and buy. And what did we do? We get completely stopped out, you know? So what do we want to do? We want to do the same thing they're doing, okay? We filled their orders here at the top. Now they're going back into this fair value gap. They're filling the rest of their orders back here. So what do? We put our stops at our liquidity sweep and we take profits, you know? It's the same thing in the other way. Let me go ahead and show you in these candles because it's really easy. It's very simple, but you have to wait for a reaction because then you're gonna mess up your trade, bro. I'm telling you. Let me go ahead and show you these things in the market. Because you can see them in any time frame. They're very easy to see, and if you wait for a reaction off of these things, man, they're very effective. Let me show you something. Right here. See, we have fair value gap over here. One right here. Let me go ahead and fix this really quick. Extend right. Okay, we have a fair value gap over here, and we even have one over here. What did we do? We went up, we tapped into it. Dude, we almost went for the stars. You know, that's two right there. They're really simple to see, and they're actually very effective. You know, we've got one right here again. You know, what did we do? We went up, we tapped into it, went into it, had the reaction. Bro, we tapped into it again. That's a trade right there. Not actually, because we probably didn't sweep no liquidity right there. But that's our third and last step. You know, fair value gap, reaction, retracement. We have our trade, we have our entry, and we're already there just sitting on our hands waiting to see if we get stopped out or if we hit our take profits. Whatever we do, we got a lesson to learn. If we hit take profits, we got to see why we hit our take profits. If we didn't hit our take profits, we got to see why it did that and understand that it was another day in the lab. You know, now that I've showed you guys a couple examples of these things, let me just go ahead and show you 2 and 3 more, because these things are everywhere and they're very, very simple to see, except when you can't find your candles. Bro, where are my candles at? Nah, over there. Alrighty, look right here. Got another example over here. Fair value gap. Tapped into it, skyrocketed. Okay, what do we have over here? We have fair value gap. What do? Skyrocketed. We went right into it. Okay, what do we have over here? 1, 2, 3 candles. Liquidity void. Went down, tapped into it, went down one more time. Bro, it's so simple. It's so simple. What's not simple is being able to read these things in the live market and actually taking trades off of these things. Because if you have a liquidity sweep, you break a structure, and then you have your fair value gap that gives you a reaction, then you get your retracement, you're crazy if you don't enter the trade, man. But this was fair value gaps for you guys, man. I honestly think this was probably the best video I've made. Like, these fair value gaps, they're really simple, but you gotta wait for a reaction before you take your trade, because they can get invalidated very quick. Very, very quick. You never know if market makers put their orders in, went down, took them out, and they want to seek higher liquidity or lower liquidity. You got no idea. So just wait for reactions. If you get a reaction, take your trade, and if you get stopped out, there's a reason why, and learn the reason why, and don't be a lame. Understand that a loss is a loss, a win is a win, but you're just here to perfect the craft. You know, just like in a sport, if you missed practice for the whole week, what do you expect you're gonna be doing on the game day? You either be on the bench or you're gonna be dog. You know, you're gonna be dog water. So just go ahead, find these things in the market, understand how they work, understand that they're very powerful, and go and look at all these videos I've been making, because out of everything I've been making, these liquidity, break of structure, in this video, you could pretty much take a trade off of this. Honestly, this is the last video that I'm going to be doing, because honestly, you have everything you need here, you know, right over here, man. We have over here a liquidity sweep. Watch, I'm about to find a trade. A liquidity sweep, okay, in the 4 hour, break of structure in the 4 hour. Okay, let's go lower time frames to the 3 hour to find us a fair value gap. Okay, just 1 second. 2 hour, we're gonna find one, bro. We're gonna find one. Break of structure. Fair value gap. Let's go into the 1 hour. No, we didn't find a trade. Not right there, actually. Break of liquidity sweep, break of structure down here, fair value gap that was left behind. What did we do? Yeah, bro, it's right there. I knew I seen it. All right, liquidity sweep, break of structure down here, fair value gap, entry. What did we do? We had a reaction. After we had that reaction, we tapped back into it. What do? We place our shorts right at the equilibrium. We place our stop right at the liquidity sweep. And what do? We make bank. That was a trade right there. I don't even know when this was. Let's go ahead and check it out. This was October 24th at 7 a.m. Whoever caught that, that was a dub. You know, but it's simple. It's so simple. Once you put those things right there, your trades are going to be, they're gonna be lit, bro. You're gonna be lit, and I promise you, if you just have good risk to reward, and if you actually put your time and your discipline into these things, you'll be doing these things like, you'll be wondering where I've been, you know, because a lot of people explain these things, but it's very difficult to understand them. You just need that one person to explain them as simple as they can for you to get it. I hope y'all like this video. If you got any questions, drop them in the comments, because I'll be more than happy to answer them. Peace.